All right, folks. Here at Watch Wes Work, we strive for continuous improvement. And today, we're raising the bar. This might be the roughest vehicle anyone's ever paid me to work on. This is a 1994 Ford F-250. At least on paper, that's the legal definition. It is powered by a turbocharged 6.9 liter IDI diesel engine. It doesn't run. It hasn't run for about 8 months. The story I heard is that it was running fine and then it died. The owner found a bad ground cable to the engine block. He fixed that. Now it cranks, but it will not start. And there's a laundry list of parts he's been throwing at it, and he hasn't gotten anywhere. All right, folks, drink it in. So I think Mortsky would call these whiskey dents. That one might be a little stronger than whiskey. Tires are good. Well, 3 out of 4 tires are good. The mirrors are off something else, I'm sure. Yeah, the big problem is he's got the full-on structural formats. There's no metal there, folks. The rocker is completely gone. What about the seat belt? Yep. That's not good. Okay, well, let's pretend we didn't see that. Box is pretty good, really. Right side rockers are still there. Pretty crunchy though. I'd say it's been hit in the front and the whole front clip's been pushed back into the doors. The bumper is, well, it's not really attached. Yeah, under the hood, 6.9 IDI. That's an international engine, of course, with the turbocharger. No radiator, which is fun. Looks like she's got the standard oil leaks. Yeah. New battery cable, I think. Where do we even start? What is this that's unplugged? Okay, well, I've got some batteries for it. Guess we'll throw those in. And yeah, we'll start going through the list. Yeah, Max loves it. It's right up your alley, isn't it, pup? All right, folks, we're going to jump right in. The owner gave me a list of things that he tried. We're not even going to look at it. We're just going to start from scratch. Not to be a jerk, but if he knew what was wrong with it, it wouldn't be here. So I think what we're going to do is we'll disable the glow plugs by disconnecting the relay, and then we'll give her a little shot of ether and just see if it'll run on ether. That'll tell us if the base compression is good, if the base part of the engine is good. Then we'll go after the fuel system. Well, before we even get to that, we've got some electrical problems. I'm very suspicious about these battery terminals. These things are just absolute junk. Yeah, it's barely holding on. And then over here, this is the starter relay, but this side here comes right from the battery, and that feeds every other positive 12-volt system on the truck. And you see we got wires cut. This one's not going anywhere. So I don't know what any of that stuff does. We can check the glow plug controller over here, and there's no power anywhere. So I think what's going on is there should be a fusible link between these 2 wires here and this big wire there. So that means that our glow plug system is already defeated, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's give her a shot of ether, crank it, see what happens. Let's try right in the turbo. You hear it pick up a little bit. It's trying to go. That's weird. I want it run on ether. I don't quite understand that. Maybe it's just too cold. Anyway, let's not get discouraged. The key's on right now. We should have power to the shutdown solenoid on the injection pump, and we don't. I fixed the main wire to the glow plug relay, which is that guy right there. But with the key on, we should also have power here, and we don't. So that's a problem. I found a wiring diagram. It looks like it comes right out of the fuse box, but it doesn't tell me what fuse it is. It just says K. So I guess we gotta look up the fuse layout. Well, according to the diagram, fuse K should be that guy right there, but it should be a 20 amp, not a 30. And that one is blown. So that's a problem. All right, we got a new 20 amp maxi fuse. Shove that guy in there. All right, let's see what happens. See if our wait to start light comes on. It's been relocated. Interesting. I think when it cycles like that, it means that the glow plug resistance is wrong. Well, he told me he replaced the glow plugs, but he didn't do the two underneath the turbo because he didn't want to remove the turbo. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. Let's crank it, see if it'll start. All right, we got the fast idle screwdriver installed. I'm just going to jump the solenoid, or the relay, sorry, and we'll see what happens. Lovely. Okay, better move that. We got fuel leaking out of all the injector lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I guess that's good. We're getting fuel to the injectors. Let me tighten those. We'll see what happens. Well, we got a problem on cylinder 1. It has this little extension. Not 100% sure what the purpose of this is, but somebody cross-threaded it. Really mangled it. So, yeah, let me see if I can fix that. I'll hit it with the thread file. If we can't save it, we might be able to just eliminate it, bend that injection line down a little bit. So I don't think it's that critical. Well, I did the best I could with it. It's pretty mangled. So these are M12 by 1.5 threads, which are not a common size for fasteners, but it is a common size for wheel studs. I have this Lang Tools wheel stud thread restoring kit, and it had the right size thread chaser. So we'll give it a shot. Hopefully the nut's not mangled as well. That should work. Let's see what happens. Oh, where's my starter switch? There it is. Got our fast idle screwdriver installed. Let's see what happens. I can see it gushing out of that one. There's no way. There's so much blow by. You can see all the blow by coming out of that PCB. It just doesn't have enough compression to run. We're going to try one more thing, kind of a Hail Mary here. See if we can get it started. Got a little pair of vice grips on the glow plug primary wire here. And I'm going to go ahead and jump the relay to ground. When we turn the key on, the glow plug relay is going to be on steady instead of pulsing real quick like it has been. We'll see if we can get the cylinders warmed up and maybe we can get her to fire. I don't know. All right, here we go. Ether locked it. All right, we'll give her a minute to settle down. Tried to go there for a second. Oh, lordy, lordy, lord. Hey, it runs. See if I can do this without dying. Shut it off before we all die. See if it'll restart. I don't know. Oh, perfect. Well, there you go, folks. I guess you can't kill these old IDIs. This one's pretty close, though. Yeah. Good stuff. Of course, it has no radiator, so there's no coolant in it. We don't want to run it too long, get it too hot. Although, I don't know if it's really going to make a difference on this old pig. Something's leaking real bad there. Must be the return line. I don't know. I see a copper washer laying down there. Wonder if that's part of it. Yeah, okay. Success? Question mark? I don't know. It's a result, I guess. All right, folks. It's the following morning. Looks nice and sunny and warm outside, but it's actually -4 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, made some more progress on the old IDI. I think I see why we're leaking fuel on that injector. What's that, number 5? Big old chunk of crud there, stuck underneath the injector line, and you can see some metal shrapnel there. Somebody's cross-threaded that one too. So, yeah, there's a big chunk of metal right there. Ay, ay, ay. Well, I guess that's why it's here. Kind of wish it would have come here a little sooner. We could have saved this guy some heartache. Pretty much the same story as that extension. It might be a little bit worse. So I'll try, but yeah, that's not good. Well, it seemed to thread on there okay. I guess we'll try it. That little piece of plastic that was lodged in there is from that return banjo fitting. So hopefully that doesn't leak now. Yeah, I guess let's see if it'll start. It's been sitting for about 12 hours. Well, cool. We fixed it? Question mark. I think we've got 8 cylinders now. I don't see any big gushers. Yeah. If it had a working throttle cable instead of this thing and a radiator, might be able to drive this thing home. If you asked me yesterday afternoon, I would have said this engine was never going to run again. The blow-by seems to be better now too that we got it running. All right, folks, obviously this truck needs a lot of help, but I think we've gone about as far as we're gonna go. I patched up the wiring over here. I was wrong there. I was thinking there was a separate fusible link that gets crimped in here for the glow plugs, but actually these 2 wires here are the fusible links. That's fusible link wire, 12 gauge for the glow plugs, or sorry, 14 gauge for the glow plugs, 12 gauge here for the alternator. Don't know what that one is for, but yeah, those 2, that pair of wires is the fusible link. As far as the glow plugs go, I'm not sure why that control module is cycling the relay all the time. Usually that means the glow plugs are bad, but I talked to the owner and he said he replaced all 8 glow plugs. He didn't replace the 2 injectors that were under the turbo, but he did replace the glow plugs. So I think it may be a harness issue. This glow plug harness is in abysmal condition. The whole thing needs to be replaced. The ends are bad over here on this side, and yeah, somebody's poorly soldered in some other connectors, so it needs the whole thing replaced. I don't think you can buy them, you have to make your own. Then I'm going to suggest to him, you know, besides pushing it off a cliff, to just disable this glow plug control module and run a wire here to this white terminal and a momentary contact switch inside the cab, shorted to ground, and just control that manually. You know, this thing's way too complicated. And, you know, we have manually controlled glow plugs for 80 years before this, and it worked fine. So that would be my suggestion. Yeah. On the injection pump, I don't know if any of this stuff works. There's some kind of a plunger solenoid here. I don't know if it's a fast idle or what it is. I believe there's some kind of cold start timing advance inside this pump. And then this is a position sensor for the transmission. Don't know if that works. Yeah, I did a couple of other things just to make the truck drivable. He wants to drive it up on a trailer instead of winching it onto a tow truck. So I replaced the throttle cable. The old one, it's broken and it didn't work at all. Also, it had no brakes. The master cylinder reservoir was pretty much empty on the front side. So what I found, he replaced all of the front brake lines, which you can tell by the Scotty Kilmer approved fitting there. But he replaced these brake hoses and the copper washers. These copper washers right here that came with the brake hoses, they're too thin, and the banjo fitting would actually bottom out against the caliper before it would ever compress this washer. So all I had to do to fix that was just find and install some thicker copper washers. All right, guys, it's time for the Jerry Springer style final thoughts. What do we think happened to this truck? I'll be honest, I have no idea, and a very limited explanation for what we just witnessed. Let me throw out a possible scenario. You guys tell me in the description what you think. I'm going to read the note that he left me. It says, engine ground strap, rear of engine to firewall broke June 26, 2021. Cranks but will not turn over. Tried manually opening the fuel shutoff but unsure if worked. Replaced injectors except two that go under the turbo. Possibly the fuel return lines not lined up properly. Noticed oil in coolant, drained coolant, removed radiator, lower radiator hose got cut, needs replaced. Here's what I think happened. The ground strap from the engine to the firewall broke. And somehow in the process of that ground strap breaking or being replaced, the fuse that powers the glow plugs and the shutdown solenoid and also the fuel heater in the filter was blown. And he replaced the ground strap, but I don't know if he ever confirmed that he had power back to the glow plugs or the shutdown solenoid. So now he has an engine that will crank, but it has no fuel and no glow plugs. Then comes the ether. And I'll bet they just hose this thing down with ether, trying to get it started. And I suspect that it may have had cylinder wash, which is something that we think of with gas engines. You know, when they run rich, the fuel washes all the lubrication off the side of the cylinders and it reduces the compression. I think you could easily have that same problem with too much ether, especially if there's no fuel being injected because the shutdown solenoid's not working. So now you have an engine with no fuel, no glow plugs, and no compression. And these engines have pretty low compression to start with, plus this one's pretty clapped out. So I think that could explain why we had so much blow-by when we first cranked it and tried to get it started, and why it wouldn't run on ether. Plus, you know, sometimes engines just don't like ether. I've seen that before. Anyway, that set up kind of a perfect storm of parts cannon craziness. He replaced the fuel tanks, the sending units, the fuel filter, the fuel filler necks, the fuel hoses, the mechanical fuel pump, the batteries, the bridge cable, the starter solenoid, the glow plug controller, the glow plugs, the injectors, the fuel shutdown solenoid, and various fuses. He is not specific about that. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. What do you think about that? As soon as we got the injection pump working and we started pumping some fuel back into the cylinders, it seemed to kind of come back to life. I think we should probably not look a gift horse in the mouth. It runs. Let's get it out of here. And hopefully we won't see it again. Well, that was a short trip. It still has no brakes. All right, folks. Sorry if it sounds like I'm talking about my mouth full, but the dentist told me that my mouth is full of cavities, and she did a fair amount of drilling. Anyway, after much pain and suffering, we finally have a firm brake pedal, but it was not easy to get there. Somebody's replaced this master cylinder, and I think they didn't bleed it right, so I had to take the lines off and bench bleed it. But of course, that one didn't want to cooperate, twisted the end of the line off, so I had to unbend it and re-flare it, and then rebend it, and then re-bleed it. Anyway, we finally got where we wanted to go. So we're going to try to get this thing started and get it the hell out of here. You know what's weird? There's no door dinger. Huh. All right, let's see what happens.